What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this is Skywise back from the video. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys some pointers on buying pre-owned and used ATVs. As you guys know, this is a very cutthroat sport, just like everything else in the world. And you guys don't want to get scammed or lose any money. So I'm going to give you guys some pointers and things to look for. I'm going to talk a little bit about my stories because we just had 2 instances today where we drove out and looked at four-wheelers and did not end up buying them. Complete waste of time, but it's okay. At least we didn't waste our money. But I'm going to give you guys some tips. Like I said, one more time, this is more so focused towards beginners that are new to this welcoming sport. And this is just things to look for in four-wheelers and pre-owned ATVs to avoid. And also looking for these things and seeing these things can also save you some money on the unit itself, maybe a few $100s. So stay tuned. If you guys have any feedback on the video or anything that you look for, anything that I missed, feel free to drop it down in the comments. I'd love to read because maybe there's something that I need to know. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy the video. So I had an experience this week where we drove 6-hour round trip to Detroit to look at a four-wheeler. It was a lightly used plow four-wheeler. The pictures I get out there to look at the four-wheeler after work because, you know, we don't do this full time. We work real jobs just like you guys do. And the thing was just shot. The whole underside, everything was rusted. Everything was rusted. Complete, like the shocks, the coating was peeling off. The top side looked good, but when you got under there and you really looked, there was just rust just absolutely everywhere. This thing was never washed after it got done doing the jobs. Not only that, reverse was just so clunky. Like you had to really give it some gas for reverse to engage. So probably needs new clutches or maybe a new transmission, worst case scenario. Drive shaft was loose. Things just been absolutely just beat on. And it just goes to show that for the type of riding we do, we ride to make content. We go to the Hatfield McCoys. We go to PA. We ride for fun. We ride for sport. We have four-wheelers that are for work. We have side-by-sides for work, but we also have stuff that's not for work. This machine was going to be a backup quad for trips down to West Virginia. And as soon as I got there and I looked at it, I noticed that this quad is not going to make it down where we ride. So all in all, complete wasted trip, but it's all part of the game. Later that week, 3 days later, we drove down 2 hours down southern Ohio. We looked at another quad. It was a Sportsman 850. No power steering on this unit, so I was really iffy about it because we really need power steering. Backup quads tend to be driven by guests, but hey, if the deal is right, whatever. Same thing. The guy he told me, he was very transparent. He buys quads and resells them, but this guy bought this quad and he didn't do absolutely anything to it. He went out, bought the quad, and his goal is just to resell it. So he doesn't buy and sell and flip quads. He just buys and tries to resell them because he knew no idea what was wrong with it. As soon as I started looking at it and I started looking at everything, he started asking me what's wrong with it. And I mean, same thing. Drive shafts were loose. Rear wheel bearings needed replaced. Front axles were loose. Although Polaris front axles do tend to have play in them, they do flex. My Pro flexes a little bit, but that's besides the point. The transmission had a really hard time shifting while it was on. I explained to him why, and I let him know, like, it's probably the RPMs. The RPMs are running a little bit higher, so there's probably something wrong with the throttle cable. There's probably air, maybe a seal or a boot's off, and there's unmetered air getting to the engine. It's caused the RPMs to go up a little bit. I basically gave him an educational lesson on how to fix the quad and diagnose the quad so he can do what he wanted to do. He intended to buy it and resell it and profit, but how are you going to do that when you don't fix the quad? Anyways, I'm just rambling now, but 2 wasted trips I had this week. So really sucks, but this video is going to be to talk to you guys so you guys don't experience this. First thing and foremost, whenever you guys are shopping for an ATV, like I said, figure out what you want to use the ATV for. Is it going to be for play, for sport, or is it for work? Because if it's for play and sport, the first thing I tell everybody to do, avoid what I looked at. Avoid looking at any four-wheeler that was used for plowing. Plowing absolutely destroys four-wheelers. Once they start plowing, they're destined to always plow. They're not really going to be trail four-wheelers. They're going to really be beat on. And if you want to return that four-wheeler back to its natural state of what it was before it started plowing, you have to replace some parts. Even if you think it's running good initially, there is still wear and tear in those parts that are going to need replaced. And if that person was plowing that last season and they knew they were going to get rid of the four-wheeler the following season, they probably didn't change the oil, they probably didn't maintenance it, and they were probably even extra hard on it because they knew they were going to be selling it. So therefore, I recommend staying away from any four-wheelers that were used for plowing. It's just too much of an investment after the fact, and that's what you want to avoid. Four-wheelers without a title. We've all been there. We've all done it. We probably have at least 2 of them right now that are just bill of sales. It's unfortunate it happens, but make sure you guys run a VIN check. Run the VIN through the portals. Polaris offers one. I think Canium does too, but I know for a fact Polaris does. You can run a free VIN check, and you can make sure that's not reported stolen. We have a residence up here in the city, and theft is just outrageous. People get their shit stolen all the time. So one thing I suggest doing is just making sure the four-wheeler is not stolen. Because yes, you could still buy it. If, say, it was stolen, you can get it, play with it. But the thing is, when you go down the road to sell it, that's when you're going to run into issues. Do not buy a stolen four-wheeler. Don't do that. Save somebody, make somebody's day, and find out that four-wheeler is stolen and report it. Do the right thing and don't get yourself in a pickle, because it's just going to screw you up in the long run when it comes to resale. Because not having a title, especially in some states like New York or wherever, say Ohio, so you want to make it street legal, you really need a title. The thing to watch out for when buying a used ATV, whenever you show up to look at the four-wheeler, the first thing I always do is I always see if the exhaust is hot. Obviously, I don't just go and touch it. Make sure the four-wheeler wasn't hot. So you don't want to go buy a four-wheeler that was clearly running. I mean, you want to make sure it's running, but essentially you want to make sure when you go and you buy a four-wheeler that's already warmed up, it's hard to tell if the carb needs adjusted, if the starter's okay, if it has any underlying issues that you won't be able to diagnose there while you're making the deal, because you don't know. The four-wheeler's already warmed up. Maybe it's something small like a new battery. It's just good to know because, okay, this four-wheeler needs a new battery. You had to jump it to start it initially, so maybe it needs a new stator. So you can still knock $200. You can make up your gas money that you used. I always have a huge red flag when a four-wheeler is warm. Four-wheeler, dirt bike, whatever it is, if it's warmed up when I get there, that's a red flag, and I'm instantly looking for things that could be potentially an issue. 4, I don't want to know a four-wheeler that's been completely just submerged in mud-bogged water. Always check the oil. I always ask for permission if it's okay from whoever's selling. If I check the oil, take the dipstick out, make sure the oil is not watery or milky. And while you're doing it, make sure the oil isn't super jet black. You always want to make sure, because if you see nice new oil, you can tell, smell it, make sure doesn't smell burnt. It just goes to show that the four-wheeler was maintained properly, and you know that you're in good hands from the seller. It's just kind of like a honesty thing. If you tell me you maintenance the four-wheeler and you did all this, you did all that, and I pull that dipstick and that oil is jet black and smells burnt, then that's a red flag, because clearly you didn't maintenance. Small thing I do whenever I'm looking at four-wheelers, I always make sure if it's four-wheel drive, I always make sure the four-wheel drive is working. So I always put it in four-wheel, and then I cut the steering wheel really tight. I do a really sharp turn with it, and you can kind of tell if it juts, there's clearly issues with the front differential. If it goes and it's smooth, you know it's good. And then another thing I always like to check also to make sure everything was greased at some point recently or kind of recently. Always check the A-arms, check all the grease points, and just see if there's any fresh grease left. While you're down there, check the front drive shaft, see if it's loose, try to move it around. It should not move around. It should be completely stiff. And that's something to always check. While it's started, listen to the clutch. Put your hand on the cover. See if it's rattling or if it's moving. The cover shouldn't be moving your hand. Cover should just be sticking still, and there should be no real vibration that would be concerning. A lot of people screw up four-wheelers and they go on Marketplace to sell them and hope somebody will buy their junk so they can go buy something nice. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. If they're buying it to resell it, make sure you find out. I just found out and I passed up. I made a really competitive offer on it. He didn't want it. I moved on to the next. I probably offered him what he paid for it. Don't get hustled out here, because it gets to a point where if you lose so much money in this game, you're better off just going to the dealer and buying a new one with the warranty that'll last you 5 to 10 years. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something from it. Super simple, easy video. This is kind of a beginner's guide to buying a used pre-owned ATV, just as mentioned. So if you guys liked it, drop a like, drop a comment. I had to learn all this stuff on my own. I don't have anything to go off of. I just learned it over the years. I've bought plenty of lemons. It sucks. I've wasted money. I've been down bad. I had to recoup. I've been screwed for like a whole season. It sucks. Don't end up like that. Don't get screwed. Be smart. Use your brain. Ask questions.